Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the reaction channel, Ryan's Real Reactions. And today, we're watching another BaileySarian video. This title is But Did He Do It? The Mysterious Story of Laci and Scott Peterson. Mystery and Makeup BaileySarian. This is my first deep dive into the Scott Peterson, Laci Peterson case. A lot of you have been requesting this. And guess what? It's happening right now. Buckle up, and here we go.
Scott was born to his mother, Jackie, and his father, Lee, on October 24th, 1972, in San Diego, California. Now, Jackie, Scott's mom, she had, been through some shit, you know what I'm saying? When Scott's mom was just 2 years old, her father was actually murdered just before Christmas. After this, Jackie's mom, she suffered a mental breakdown. I mean, who can blame her? She has a young baby. She just lost her husband. So yeah, she had a mental breakdown and she couldn't really take care of her baby anymore. So she placed Jackie up for adoption, she placed her in an orphanage known as a Nazareth house until she was in high school. And then she moved back home and took care of her.
God bless people that adopt kids and adopt children. I'm one of those people to where I'm kind of, I don't know if you guys know what dual income, it's called like Dink Fam or something. Dual income, no kids, and a dog with a dog. Dinkwag, I don't know, something like that. That's like the acronym. I'm cool with that, unless maybe I adopt.
Her mother while attending Catholic school. Then she found out she was pregnant at the age of 19 and ended up giving her son up for adoption. Jackie then had another child that she also decided to give up for adoption as well. In 1966, she had John, and when he was 4 years old, she met Scott's father, Lee, at community college. And between the two of them, they had 5 children until they got married a year later, and then came Scott.
Wow, they had 5 children before they got even married. They were really pumping it out.
Scott's dad, Lee, he started a crating company, which became a family business. Jackie owned a boutique, and the family, they were doing pretty well. They were very well off. Growing up, his family said that Scott liked to hunt, he liked to golf, and he liked to fish. So once Scott graduated high school, oh, mind you, there really wasn't much said about Scott's upbringing. Once he graduated high school,
this seems like one of the rare ones where, although, you could say with Chris Watts, his upbringing was pretty normal per se, but, it wasn't anything nuts. But, a lot of times these cases, there's just tons of arguing and divorce and fighting and stuff going on in the household, or alcoholism, all that stuff. I know some people have referred to this as, the original Chris Watts, which I think is a little bit silly because it's almost glorifying it, but I have a feeling I know where that means this is going to go.
He initially went to Arizona State University on a golfing scholarship, so he was pretty dang good. But he ended up being kicked off of the golf team because in college he was just partying too much. Partying, drinking, and girls. He was getting a little carried away with it all. So he was removed from the team, and then he ended up transferring to another college and then ended up at Cal Poly State University. And it was said as soon as he got to Cal Poly, that's when he started taking school a little bit more seriously, and he became a model student. At this point, Scott also decided to kind of grow up a bit, started paying for things on his own instead of relying on help from his parents. So Laci.
Also, random question. The beauty blender, how do you clean that? Can you get that wet, or does that not destroy it? It looks like if you got it wet, it would shrivel up or something. Do you put that in the damn washing machine? Or do you just, or maybe they're so, I don't know, how cheap are they? Do you just throw them out after one use? I don't know. I'm curious on that one.
He was born May 4th, 1974 to Sharon and Dennis, who also had already an older son named Brent. But about a year after Laci's birth, Sharon and Dennis ended up divorcing, and Sharon remarried to a man named Ron a year later. I know it's kind of a lot of names. Is it? I don't know. Feels that way. Laci lived with her mom, stepfather Ron, and Brent, and the family seemed to be really close. Even as Laci got older, meaning like, teenagers, they tend to stray away, but she seemed to be very close with them. Laci and Brent would stay with their dad on the farm every weekend, and that's where Laci like grew a love for gardening. Laci's family was considered middle.
I love gardening. I wish I had like a yard to garden in. It's my goal. Have a home, have some land, have a garden, grow some tomatoes, have some flowers. It's the little things in life.
Class, and she grew up with
you could tell who she got her smile from. That's like a carbon copy. Very pretty smile.
All-American lifestyle. She enjoyed cheerleading. She always had friends over. Laci also went to Cal Poly in August of 1993, and she ended up receiving an Outstanding Freshman Award. Laci ended up meeting Scott in December of 1994 while visiting her friend that worked at the Pacific Cafe that Scott also worked at the time. Now, I guess Scott showed some interest in Laci. The two
They kind of look like the all-American couple right here.
who seemed to really hit it off, and Laci gave him her phone number, and they started seeing each other. Laci was so excited about Scott, she ends up calling her mom, and she tells her that she thought this was the one. So Laci tells her mom, like, come out and, I want you to come meet him. So Laci takes her mom to the Pacific Cafe that Scott
I was going to say to the Pacific Ocean.
worked at, and they were just going to have dinner, but also it was a way for Laci's mom to meet Scott. You know what I'm saying?
Clever.
So Scott greeted them at the door and held a special table for them where he had a dozen red roses for Laci and a dozen
Literally whining and dining.
white roses. And a dozen white roses for Sharon, her mom. He scored
Wow.
some major points,
Bringing mom the flowers too. That's a big move.
Scott and Laci were hanging out all the time. And, college students, they would go over to Scott's parents' house to do some laundry and have a home-cooked meal. Laci and Scott's mom really hit it off. They both enjoyed gardening, but also they would watch Martha Stewart together and just bond.
There you go.
Laci and Scott ended up getting married in August of
Also so crazy that Martha Stewart ended up doing like a decent amount of jail time. Just like how crazy things get.
1997. Both Laci and Scott's families were pretty dang close. Everyone seemed to really like each other, and it just seemed so happy. I don't know where.
I was going to say they look. Now, obviously, looks can be deceiving, and sometimes when things look too good to be true, something is going wrong in the back end. They look like, she's very beautiful. He's a handsome guy, it's...
What went wrong? Laci graduated from college in December of 1997, and Scott graduated that next summer in June of 98. So once Scott graduated, that's when they started to plan their next steps in life, Scott's parents gave him part of their business, which he sold and used the money to open the Shack, which was a sports bar / restaurant. And then when the couple was ready to settle down, they sold the business and they moved to Modesto, California in June of 2000. Scott's parents gifted the couple $30,000 to use for a down payment on a home.
That must be nice. Jeez. I don't even think that would get me a home today, sadly.
So they're super excited, and they put that towards a cute little home nearby. Laci then began working as a substitute teacher, while Scott worked as a sales rep for a fertilizer company. They made a good amount of money, and they started upgrading their home. They added a built-in pool at their house, you know what I'm saying? That's how you know when they got some money. When
you got that in-ground pool, you got money. Above ground pool is still a luxury, but that in ground, it's money.
They get that built in and not the overground pool.
Yep.
And then Scott's dad gifted him another $30,000, but this was going to go towards the Del Rio Country Club, which is like a private club in Modesto where you have to be invited in to be a member, and you pay lots of money, obviously, to play golf, tennis, drink, eat, work out, just live like the bougie life.
So Scott's parents gave him part of the business. He sold it, started his own business. Then they sold that. His parents gave him $30,000 for a house and then $30,000 to join a country club. So that's quite the opposite of how my life went. I paid for college on my own, dropped out, have paid for everything on my own, all of my cars, everything, and I still don't have a home. And I'm in my 30s. So that's life in 2025. A lot of you can relate.
So at this point, Scott and Laci, they have their own home. They've been married for a little bit. They're doing well financially. So they decide that, they're ready for that next stage in life. They wanted to start a family. So Scott and Laci tried for about 3 years to get pregnant, but they weren't having much luck. So they talked about the option of adoption, but then Laci...
That's kind of a bar right there, the option of adoption.
Surprise, surprise, she ends up pregnant. And it was said that the two of them were just thrilled. Now, while Laci was pregnant, she tried her best to stay fit. She would go on walks. She would take yoga classes and tried her best to, eat clean, eat kind of healthy, Later in her pregnancy, Laci mentioned to family members that she was getting sick while she was just walking. So she's taking her dog out for a walk, and she said that she just got uncontrollably sick. She was afraid she was going to pass out. And after taking a little break from walking, Laci attempted to...
It says, if I say walk one more time.
Go on a walk again with her dog, and the same thing started to happen. She talked to the doctor, and he said that she should stop walking and just start resting more. So Laci...
The doctor said, stop walking, start running.
Laci says that she stops walking. Now, this may not sound important, but it is, and it will apply later. So around November 2002, Laci decided it would be best if she quit her job as a substitute teacher because this pregnancy was just getting rough. She wasn't feeling well, and she was extremely uncomfortable. So luckily enough, she could quit her job, During this time, Scott buys a 14-foot aluminum boat, and it's just a meh boat, nothing special, but it was
called a little dinghy.
Weird because he never mentioned it to anyone. He never mentioned to anyone that he was buying this boat. We're not sure if Laci knew or not about the boat, but she was also the type of person who would say something to her mom or family like, oh yeah, Scott bought a boat. Laci's father was an avid fisher. So boat, So Laci's
boat
trying her best to handle, the pregnancy. Now, Scott was handling the pregnancy in other ways. So Scott had this acquaintance.
Oh boy. Tell me there's another mistress. Tell me there's another Nicole Kessinger.
This is where things get weird to me because it's whatever. Scott has this acquaintance. It's a female friend.
Here we go.
This friend was like, Scott, you need to meet this friend of mine. Her name is Amber Fry, and I just think you two would really hit it off. And Scott's friend just...
Okay, that's weird. That's already weird. So your friend or acquaintance was basically trying to set you up with somebody? Because you don't say that if you just want someone to be friends. While you have a pregnant wife?
Talked him into going on a date with Amber.
What?
And gave him Amber's number. So, not a great friend, but...
That's awful of that friend. Also, you're a woman knowing that this guy is married with a child on the way? And you're doing that to this to Laci? That's so sad. And then he accepted? I'm sorry, but if you're going on a date with somebody, that's cheating. You don't have to be physical to cheat on somebody. If you're going on dates while you're in a relationship and it's not an open relationship, you're cheating on them.
Okay, don't be that shitty friend.
Mm-hmm.
You.
I didn't do nothing, Bailey. Don't look at me. I wouldn't do that.
So Scott gets the number, right? He chooses to call.
Also, I'm noticing a little bit of the eyeshadow got on there. Is that the look, or is she going to wipe that off? I'm just seeing as it goes. I'm seeing the progression.
Amber, and he leaves her a voicemail.
And I can already tell she's going to go with a bright lipstick. I can feel it. You're going to be like, wow, Ryan, you were right. I'm expecting a bright red or a pink. Now, if she ends up doing black and it's the opposite, let's just say that let's just forget about it.
Hey, my friend, she mentioned you and thought, we should connect. So Amber ends up getting in touch with Scott. I guess sometimes
Amber. I mean, she's pretty, of course, but dude.
Scott describes to Amber
Married
what
man.
he looks like on the phone. And he's like, I'm not very tall, I'm overweight, I have a belly, and I have long, greasy hair. That's what he tells Amber.
So he was lying.
My first thought was like, maybe he's trying to downplay himself.
Yes.
Because he looks like Ben Affleck. Let's be honest here. He does. Brothers.
He does kind of look like Ben Affleck. I can't lie.
Almost. I don't know.
Ken Affleck.
My thought was like, maybe he's trying to downplay himself so she would say no to like the date because
That's fair.
He couldn't say no. Or he was just trying to
What do you mean you couldn't say no? You say, yeah, I have a wife and a child on the way.
Be funny. Either way, that's how he described himself. And I guess Amber was like, what? Long greasy hair? Hot. So they decide to meet at the Elephant Bar in Fresno on November 20th, 2000.
So they're going to address the elephant in the room?
2002. So after they meet at the bar, they decide to go get Japanese food, but Scott said that he needed to check into his hotel and asked if she wanted to come with him. So he got a hotel room. The two of them, they go to the room and he decides to take a shower and get dressed for dinner. Meanwhile, she's in the room with him. So, I mean, that's kind of like a weird first date.
Yeah, that's...
Could you imagine on your first
gonna...
date meeting someone, they're like, come up to my room, I'm going to take a shower. And
that's super intimate. That's like you're together doing that.
They're just trying to fuck. Anyways, so they go up to the hotel room together. Scott takes a shower and then he gets dressed. And then the two of them enjoy some strawberries and champagne. And then they decide to like go out and get something to eat. They talked about Amber being a massage therapist. And he told her that he was single and living in Sacramento.
I'm so confused. So did the friend had to know that he was with she had to know. So how does Amber not know?
And with his job, he had a warehouse in Modesto.
I'm so
Scott
confused.
told Amber that he was going to Alaska for Thanksgiving and then to Maine. And for New Year's, he was going to Paris, France, and would be traveling all over Europe in January for business.
Is that to say, because maybe is she having the kid in January? So it's like, oh, I'm going to disappear.
Then they go back to Scott's hotel room where Amber stayed with him that night. Now, I'm not quite sure where Laci was at this time. I'm assuming she's at home or like with her family, but I'm not sure like what he told Laci in order to get away with this. I'm assuming it was probably like work. He had to do something for work, but I couldn't find a straight answer, but that happened. Douche. So Thanksgiving approaches and Scott and Laci, they went down to San Diego to see or stay with Scott's family. And then while they were there, they decided to go to Disneyland. It was said that during the trip or their day trip to Disneyland, Laci was just miserable. She was super sick. She was uncomfortable. Every time you hear pregnancy stories, it's always so black and white. It's like some people freaking love being pregnant. It's the best thing ever. They're like, oh my God, I glow. My nails are so long. My hair is so long and luscious. Like the best thing ever. You know, they're just like so hyped on it. And then there's the other half are like, don't do it. That was the most messed up thing I've ever done.
I guess it just depends on your body and how it reacts, how big you are as a person, if you're tall, short, whatever, your immune system, I have stomach stuff all the time, so luckily I can't get pregnant. That would be a medical mystery, but if I could, I would probably be miserable.
The reviews are very mixed. And plus, like, the last thing you want to do when you're pregnant is go to Disneyland. So much.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you go on the small world ride or something? Like
walking.
It's a small world after all.
Like, you can't go on anything, really, except for, like, it's a small world, and you're...
I'm telling you. Sometimes, and I'm telling you, to this day, I'll still get comments. I know you pre-watch these. I hate when people say that. Yeah, I sit here for 44 minutes and just watch a video silently so I can then react to it. Sometimes I call it That's So Ryan moments, okay? And that was one right there. Me and Bailey, we're like this.
Like, yeah, it's a small world. So when they returned back home, Scott...
That ride is scary, by the way.
had planned a second date with Amber.
Great.
They decided to meet on December 2nd, and they were going to go hiking, and Amber was going to bring her
Wow, look at that photo. So she did a good job with that crop initially. That looks like a date to me.
daughter this time because Scott wanted to meet her. After they went on their hike,
Second date and Scott wants to meet her daughter?
they went back to Amber's house, cooked dinner, and then Scott says that he stayed the night at Amber's. Now, a lot of people wanted to hate on Amber, but she didn't know. She didn't know. And
But how did the friend not say anything? I think the friend is to blame for all of this. Now, of course, Scott is too for lying, but
Scott seemed like an absolute dreamboat.
but he told her he was single. I guess if she didn't know, you can't blame her.
He was turning on the charm, just impressing her, pretty much like he had done with Laci years ago. During this time, Scott was telling Laci back at home that he was working, work conference, work meeting, work. So 3 weeks before Christmas, Laci's grandmother, she passes away. She did leave quite a bit of inheritance. The entire estate totaled around $2 million.
Good Lord.
And it was going to be split between Laci and her 2 siblings for when they turned 30. On December 9th, Scott asked Amber.
See, I grew up, pretty lower class, so I've never gotten an inheritance, nor do I have an inheritance ever on the way. So I've always had to just be self-made, which is fine because I think it gives me something to just keep working at. If I knew that I was going to possibly get millions of dollars one day, maybe I would be a different person or I'd work less, but I've been, I'm kind of like someone that hustles because I have to do it on my own. There's nobody in my family that's going to give me, my family doesn't have and never has had that kind of money. So, I can't imagine just being like, oh, and here's $1 million. That's life.
He could come over because, he needed to tell her something. So he goes over to her house. And when he got there, he just sits at the kitchen table and he starts crying. Amber's thinking,
they definitely banged, him and Amber.
Here we go. So he's crying and he tells Amber
oh, I thought he was saying this to Laci. Never mind. Sorry.
I lied to you. I haven't been 100% honest. And she's like, what is it? What? I've been married once before, but she just recently died. And this is going to be my first Christmas without her.
So instead of coming clean, he lies again.
This is what he tells her. Now, his wife isn't dead. She's pregnant at home.
Wow.
Which is all sorts of suspicious. Now, Scott tells Amber that he doesn't want any biological children and that her daughter would be enough for him and that he was open to getting a vasectomy. Maybe this was supposed to make Amber happy or something. We don't know. But she was like, that's a bit extreme, but okay. So Christmas and all that's approaching. And Scott tells Amber that he's going to be traveling the next couple of weeks, but wanted to try his absolute best to keep their relationship going while he's traveling the world. On December 15th, Sharon, Laci's mom, she goes over to Scott's and Laci's house. And sadly, this would be the last time that she sees her daughter. That evening, Scott was supposed to cook lasagna for dinner, but he was running late from work, but really he was at Amber's house. Laci ends up serving some frozen dinner situation. Laci's mom, Sharon, she recalled that Laci was really annoyed, but she didn't voice her frustrations to her mom, but you could tell that she was annoyed. So on the morning of Christmas Eve, Scott said that he woke up around 8 a.m. and when he got up, Laci was already up. Scott said that when he got up, Laci was already up and that she was eating a bowl of cereal and that she had to eat first thing when she got up because if she didn't, she would get sick. But later on down the line, Scott said that when he woke up this morning, they ate cereal together. So his story kind of...
And this was on Christmas Eve?
Changed a bit. Scott...
Don't tell me he ends her life on Christmas Eve. I mean, look, ending a life on any day is ridiculous, but what?
Said that he asked Laci what she had planned for the day. She was going to go on a walk that morning. She was also going to make some gingerbread cookies and then go to the store to buy special bread because she wanted to make French toast. Now, before Scott took off that morning, he loaded 3 patio umbrellas into his truck to take...
Oh, here we go with loading things into the truck.
To his warehouse. A neighbor saw Scott doing this.
Here we go.
Smiled and waved. He then went back in.
These guys with these damn trucks.
Filled a mop bucket, for Laci so she would clean while he was out. Why don't you clean?
I was going to say, excuse me? You filmed a mop bucket for your sick and pregnant wife so she could mop? What kind of dirtbag? That alone pisses me off. I don't even know what's going on yet, and that pisses me off. That says a lot about a man. That says a lot about anybody, but like, that's loser energy.
Scott. He tells Laci, I'm going golfing. So he heads out, but he realizes that it's too cold to go golfing. So he went on a fishing trip instead at the Berkeley Marina, which was about 90 miles outside of Modesto. Before going fishing, Scott goes to his warehouse.
That's already suspicious. I was going to go golfing, and then instead I decided to drive 90 miles, like almost 2 hours, to go fishing.
Work, because that's where he
that's already like suspicious.
So he goes there and he's kind of working on the computer for a bit, and then he ends up leaving at 11:18 a.m. and he purchases a boating ticket at 12:54 p.m. When asked later on, Scott couldn't say what he was fishing for, or when asked what he used to fish with, like what kind of bait and lures he used, he didn't have an answer. He didn't really go fishing ever. It was just very random. Plus, on top of that, it's December.
Right.
And he's going fishing at 12:54 p.m., which, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I did some Googling, so I'm a professional, okay? But it's just a terrible time to go fishing. You don't go fishing at this time. I don't fish either. I don't know a damn thing about fishing.
I haven't been fishing in a very long time. The only time I fish is if I play Animal Crossing.
Okay, so later on, Scott said that when he went fishing, he gets out there on the water and he realizes that he forgot his like bait, which he couldn't even tell you what kind of bait he had, but he forgot it. And then he still tried to fish anyways, but he decided to head back in because...
So he was going to go golfing, didn't plan that it was going to be cold, then goes fishing at 1 o'clock, drives an hour and a half, drives that far and doesn't have bait.
He got wet and was cold. So a few people said that they saw Laci walking her dog around 10 a.m. that morning near the park, but their dog was found alone outside the home, like running around the block, and he still had his leash on. On his way home, Scott stops for gas at around 3:25, and then he ends up back at his warehouse around 4:15 p.m. He loaded his boat back into storage and then went home within the next 30 minutes. When Scott got home, that's when he said he saw that the dog was like out in the yard with the leash still on, and then he removed the leash from the dog. He goes inside, and when he walks inside, he sees that the mop bucket is still out and full. After that, Scott said that he went outside to grab the mail, and that's when like he noticed Laci's car in the driveway, which sounds weird, but that's what he said. He assumed that she was at her mom's house, so he took out some leftover pizza, poured himself a glass of milk, and did a load of laundry.
Okay, that's already bizarre. Eating pizza with milk to me that's like a violation. He wasn't concerned though, like similar with Chris, like when Chris Watts came in and just like kind of walked up to the cops and then like runs into the garage to check something. It's like, so you find your dog outside with its leash. You see her car there and she's not home and she hasn't done any of the things she was going to say. Then the oven's not on, no cookies, no bread being made, right? Or no French toast. So she told you, yeah, I'm going to make some gingerbread cookies and go to the store, but her car is there. So you as a husband of a pregnant wife, don't freak out and you just eat pizza with milk.
Then went to go take a shower. Milk and pizza, that's a choice.
Thank you.
So Scott said after he took a shower, he got ready and then he checked the answering machine. And that's when he realized that Ron had left a message for Laci. And he said that He knew something was wrong, like at that moment, and he started to worry. Scott ends up calling Sharon, and he's asking her, like, hey, is Laci there? And she says no. Scott tells her that Laci's car was there and that their dog was in the backyard with her leash on, just the whole thing. Like, it was weird. Sharon told him to call Laci's friends. She realized that Scott used the word missing. Laci's missing. And that's when she like just had this sinking feeling in her gut that something wasn't right. So Sharon had...
True. Also, saying missing, like anyone else would be like, you know, you wouldn't say missing. You would be like, that, you know, if it's been like an hour or so, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, they're missing. You would say, I don't know where they're at. I don't know if you know, I'm not sure. You wouldn't say missing until it was like a last ditch, you know, like, oh my God, we've checked everywhere. She's missing.
Ron called the police, and while he was doing that, she got ready and she headed out to the dog park to see if maybe Laci had fallen, she had gotten hurt, anything, you know?
Right, that would be Sharon. This is why I'm already annoyed with Scott again. Like, the first thing you would do after that would be drive around the area, making phone calls at the same time, drive around and just be like, did something happen? Call the hospitals. Did something? Because also, hey, your wife's pregnant. What if something happened to the baby and she had to get rushed to the hospital? You know, blah, blah, blah.
Tells Scott to meet her there, but he didn't arrive until much later with the police. So that night, about 70 to 80 people showed up to help search for Laci.
That's nice of people.
Sharon asked Scott like where she was that day, and he said that Laci was supposed to go to the store, walk the dog, make gingerbread cookies, and that was really it. So Ron asked Scott, like, did you go golfing?
Also really weird with this alibi of like, oh, I was going to go golfing, but I ended up driving an hour and a half away to go fishing and I didn't have bait. Like,
Scott says he didn't go golfing. He went fishing. Now, Ron, again, an avid fisherman, he asked, like, what time did you go fishing at? And Scott's like, I went at 9:30 a.m., which is a lie. But Ron came back and said, like, that's what time you come home. I think Ron kind of like knew something was up. Police questioned Scott. They go inside the home to take photos. Police thought it was weird that Scott came home and did a load of laundry.
This is like, there are parallels to the Chris Watts, Shanann. Wow, there really are. Both pregnant, both with mistresses. Now, I wonder if you guys in the comments are going to be like, no, Amber knows more than Bailey let on or something because this was from 7 years ago, or if Amber was completely innocent, you know, where Nicole Kessinger, obviously, in my opinion, not in the eyes of the law, but in my opinion, was super, super guilty.
Didn't like do a full load. He just washed his own clothes. Now, on top of the washer,
Suspicious.
there were a bunch of dirty rags, like
Suspicious.
a whole pile of dirty rags. And in the bedroom, there was a full basket of dirty clothes in the hamper. It didn't mean anything, but at the same time, it was weird because why would he just wash his own clothes and not throw some of the other items from the laundry basket in there?
Oh, I'll tell you why, because he killed his wife and is trying to get away with it.
Or even the dirty rags that were literally sitting on top of the washer. I mean, you'd be surprised sometimes. So they're like, okay, what were you washing your clothes for? Also, on the dresser in the couple's bedroom, Laci's jewelry was still there and
same thing where Shanann's ring was there.
Her purse. Now, Laci always wore her jewelry. She had a couple of pieces that she only took off when she went to bed. If she was up, she was wearing her jewelry. So after searching the home and talking to Scott, that's when police had a feeling that he wasn't being fully honest.
Is there footage of this out here on the internet of like this must have been a long time ago though, but like, is there footage?
But they also had nothing on him. So, you know, they had to like let it be. But police ask if, you know, they can go see Scott's office, his like warehouse area. Scott takes them out there. Inside, they find his boat, a homemade anchor, and signs that there were more anchors made like in the area, but they weren't there.
Oh my God, did he try to like drown, you know, lower the body into the ocean?
More police talked to Scott and the family. Things just weren't making sense. Laci was 27 at the time, 8 months pregnant, based off what...
8 months pregnant. Oh my gosh. Their child was about to be is about to be born.
Everyone was saying it seemed like she was having a difficult pregnancy towards the end. And the fact that she was up, possibly walking the dog or running around doing errands, just wasn't making sense. Plus, it was Christmas Eve.
Right.
Most couples, married couples at least, have a laundry list of things to do before going to their family's house or
Right, and not going fishing and being gone for 5 hours on a holiday
having, guests over.
when your child is about to be born.
So why was Scott golfing? Police asked Laci's family, like, hey, they pulled him aside. They're like, hey, should we be looking into Scott a little bit more? Like,
They better have said yes.
do you get any weird feelings about him? Laci's family said absolutely not.
No!
Oh, there's no way he did anything to her, like adamant that he was not the cause of Laci's disappearance. The media got a hold of this story and it was literally everywhere. Everywhere. Laci's family would talk to the media and they believed that Laci was still alive somewhere. They pleaded with the cameras, like trying to talk to whoever's watching the TV at home. If you're out there, if you took Laci, just please like release her. And it's just heartbreaking to watch. But they really believed that somebody had kidnapped her and maybe were trying to hold her hostage to take her child. And at one point,
Jeez.
Laci's whole family and Scott did a TV interview where Laci's parents are looking at the screen and saying, like, if you have Laci, please just let her go. Again,
It's so sad.
just truly believing that she's being...
You know what? That's what you should believe as a family, I would guess, right? You're going to have hope until, unfortunately, a body is found or there's proof of something or an admission of guilt. You are going to say, hey, they're still out. She's out there. She's alive, because that's all you have.
held captive somewhere. And then they cut to Scott. And Scott's just sitting there and he's like, well, she may not be coming back and we kind of like have to look at the possibilities. Scott, buddy.
Scott.
Read the room. Okay. He was literally the only one who said that. You can't pretend, Scott, So investigators, they go back out to Scott's place of work. They're just trying to find something. Scott told investigators in the beginning that he would gladly take a polygraph test to prove that, like, he had nothing to hide. But they ask him again and he changes his mind. He's like, no, I don't want it. No. And Scott confesses that he didn't tell anyone about the boat he bought and that he was nervous to speak with them because of the fact that he bought a boat without telling anyone. Also, his internet search hit.
Oh, yeah. Let's be real. He planned it. It's the same thing with Nicole and Chris. He planned it to have his own life with Amber. And, because he already told her my wife is gone or whatever. So he's like, oh, I'm just going to get rid of her. Bought this boat. Had the plan, probably ended her life, and then took her out there and then tried to, or maybe successfully put her body deep in the ocean where nobody could find it.
History.
Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist,
Showed that he looked up the bay tides and waves that day. So they start looking around Scott's workplace, and then they notice that there's a lot of things that were moved around and a little different from the last time that they were there. Someone had cleaned up a bit. This time, though, police find some pliers in the boat, which had a long strand of black hair inside of them. Tons of tips were coming into police, and about 5 different people said that they saw Scott out at the bay that day that Laci went missing, and nobody saw him golfing. So this
he still was lying.
When Scott changes his story from golfing to now fishing. He was fishing. He's like, oh yeah, oops. On December 29th, Amber Fry, she was at a party and she was talking to some friends about like Scott, and he's kind of suspicious, right? She's like, just talking, whatever. And a friend that
The friend's like, Scott Peterson?
talking to recognizes Scott's name and tells Amber that he may be in connection with a missing woman. He then gives Amber a tip line number where you can call and like give any information about the case.
Okay, so it is seeming that Amber is innocent according to this, but I did watch Bailey's video on Gypsy Rose, and it almost made Gypsy seem like kind of super innocent, and I'm already leaning towards the fact that she's not, so
he gives that to Amber. So in December, it doesn't take long for Amber to call up the tip.
The eyes are looking great, Bailey. The smoky, the eyeshadow. Now, hit me with that light lipstick so I could feel smart.
Line. So she calls it up. And she's like, I've been having an affair with Scott. Now, this is huge for police.
That's big news,
They're
yeah.
like, oh, hell yeah, jackpot.
Hell yeah.
Because they didn't have anything on Scott at this time. While they have Amber on the line, they ask her, like, hey, would you be willing to record your phone calls with Scott? And she
Ooh.
agrees. Scott calls Amber on New Year's Eve. Mind you, he's at Laci's candlelight vigil. They're having it at the park. Okay, Scott's there. He calls up Amber. New Year's Eve. You're sorry. You get it. Anyways, so I just couldn't believe this is what he call. Yes, you get it. Anyway, so he calls her up. He tells her he's in Paris, and it's just incredible. So hold on, I don't like that lip. So he's in Paris. So he says, you know, and the call.
Oh, looking like a nice. Well, that's kind of a semi-dark red, but I knew it would be a red.
Short, it's not that long, but it was recorded, so you're not embarrassed. So meanwhile, during all of this, divers are searching the bay waters, and over the course of the next few weeks, they would end up searching the waters 15 different times, but would come up with nothing.
I mean, if he put anchors and dropped a body deep in the ocean, it's like Dexter. How are you gonna find it? Dexter, by the way, I've talked about it a couple times. Probably my favorite show ever. Up until season 4. After season 4, it gets a little weird. But any Dexter fans out there, just know I'm your people. Because I've rewatched that show like 5 different times. It's so good. Michael C. Hall is so good.
On another recorded phone call with Amber, she's expressing to Scott like how frustrated she is with him, that he lied, he was married, and she was pregnant. She's telling this to Scott. He then tells Amber on the phone that he took a polygraph test and he passed it.
Lied about that.
And at least he knew he was having an affair, and she had accepted it.
She accepted it while she was 8 months pregnant.
What an
Dude's not a good liar.
idiot. Sure, buddy. Sure. On January 13th, the media got word that there was a mistress involved. They ended up running a story about Amber. On January 24th, Amber was forced to come out to the public with a statement due to the harassment she was receiving. Many believed that she was doing this for attention, thought it was selfish, thought she was just trying to get something out of this. But Amber was like,
Well, if she's genuinely innocent, then it would just be to clear her name.
people are accusing me of being involved and stuff. Like, I have to come out and give a statement.
Once again, though, I'm putting a lot of this blame. The friend that introduced Scott, I have to have more information. Though. Like, there's just no way the friend of Scott didn't know he was married. That friend is weird.
If I want to take some control of her involvement. But even after she came out and gave her statement, people still ripped her to shreds and thought it was for selfish reasons. You literally cannot win. So after Amber came forward, Laci's family also came out with a public statement, now showing more doubt in Scott's story and his involvement. They really didn't think that he was responsible for this, like not at all. Police at this time had placed, secretly, a GPS tracker on Scott's car, and they were following his every little move. Scott had made 5 different trips out to the Bay Marina. He would pull up
It's like Dexter, the Bay Harbor Butcher.
to the same exact spot, sometimes staying there for a while, and other times for just like a few minutes.
He was probably trying to find the body to make sure it was still there.
Many believed that he was going out there to see if the police had found anything.
Yep.
Others thought that maybe he was going out there to look at the water and clear his mind.
Yeah, those others that thought that are wrong.
We're not really sure. All of the news
There's other places you can go clear your mind without driving 90 miles to a bay 5 times.
about Laci's disappearance, the affair, Scott being weird. There was so much media coverage on this, which led to Scott Peterson sitting down with Diane Sawyer
Oh boy.
for a TV interview on January 28th, 2003. During this interview,
Oh wow, this is from a long time ago.
he confessed to the affair, but said that he had told Amber the truth, that he was married and just tried to clear his name. Now, during this
If this interview is on the internet, I'll try to find it and watch it.
during the interview, Scott gets a little emotional.
Also, sometimes I say this, but like just to reiterate, sometimes you guys will request something, but the video is like under 5 minutes, And it's like, I'm not really going to react to that because that's just like, it'd be like an 9 minute video. So if I don't ever do something, it's 2 reasons. One, it's too long and it's like a 3-hour interrogation. And it's like, that would melt my computer if I did a 4-hour reaction, or it's like 5 minutes or less, you know? With the interrogation stuff, I can break them down into parts, but that's kind of why, you know? I did like a 3.5 hour Rotten Mango reaction once, and like, I thought my computer was going to blow up afterwards. It was definitely not thrilled that I was recording for that long.
Starts to cry. But of course, everyone at home was like ripping apart his little cry session because during the interview, he's like, tears are running down his face. But not once did he wipe the tears from his face.
He wanted to show him.
And I know that may sound dumb.
Put on the show.
Investigators explained it in a way I never thought of. He let the tears run down his face, and most people would go and like wipe the tears. Like it's just a
He wanted to be like, look at me, look how sad I am. I'm the victim too.
Action. You really have to think about it. Like, don't wipe the tears. Let it drip. Especially if you're on TV. Like, you're already insecure that you have camera on you. There's lights. Someone's interviewing you.
Yep.
Like, you're already feeling kind of insecure. So most people would wipe their tears away.
Yep.
But Scott just let the tears stream down his face. It just felt like...
It's like the Coldplay song. Tears stream down your face when you lied to the world about that you're a disgrace.
He wanted his tears to be seen.
Yep.
After this, Scott was laying pretty low. But then a car dealership comes forward saying that Scott just sold Laci's car and then purchased a new truck. Not a good look.
Not a good look.
2 more women later come forward saying that they too also had an affair with Scott within the last couple of years.
Good Lord, Scott. So he was cheating on his wife with 3 women, and that's the ones that came forward.
Both had similar stories. Scott would wine and dine them, making
Wow.
it real special.
What a piece of shit.
Once they found out that he was actually married, they dumped him. In February of 2003, that's when police asked Amber to stop recording the calls with Scott. They were worried that it might be used against her if they go to court. But Amber's phone records show that he was still calling pretty damn often. On February 10th, that would have been Laci's due date for baby Connor. With great...
Rest in peace to Connor. That's so sad. Same thing, too. At first I was like, it's silly to say the comparisons to Chris, but no, the comparisons are very striking. Very striking. You know, Shanann was pregnant and about to have Nico. May they rest in peace. And then Laci was pregnant with Connor. May they rest in peace. It's just the parallels are creepy. I think I actually understand what's going on here with why people said, this is the original Chris Watts case, because, remove the daughters from it, which is still a big deal. This is I think with this one, though, that we may not have the details. I'm going to guess this dude probably never confessed, unlike Chris. We'll see. I mean, a lot might have changed in 7 years, but like if he anchored that body in the bay, man, you may never find it.
Sadness, the family and friends had another candlelight vigil at the park for Laci and Connor. February 10th was also Amber Fry's birthday. Scott spent his day getting Amber a birthday gift and trying to meet with her. On February 18th,
on the day his son was supposed to be born,
police were able to get another search warrant for Scott's house. And they don't really find anything other than Scott had subscribed to a bunch of porn channels on his TV. Of course, the media was like, oh my God, Satan loves porn. The media seemed to focus pretty heavily on this porn thing, a little too much. So they don't really find
that's it's kind of like whatever.
Anything during this search, but they were able to get some of Laci's hair from her hairbrush in hopes to match the hair in the pliers that were found at Scott's work. So they needed her hair. In March, that is when the forensic team was able to determine that the hair in the pliers was consistent with Laci's hair in her hairbrush.
Of course it was.
But they couldn't say 100% it was hers because it was missing the follicle. So on April 13th, on the northern side of the bay shore, a small body was found.
Oh,
and
wow.
The next day,
okay, wait, here we go.
full body was found 1 mile south, washed up on the bay shore.
Oh my goodness.
Investigators confirm that it was indeed Laci Ann Connor's body.
Ugh.
Laci's head and different limbs were missing. Connor was missing from Laci's body, but for the most part, his body was intact, which led investigators to believe that he may have been inside of Laci for many months after their death. It's believed that Laci was
It's absolutely horrific.
sunk with cement anchors, similar to the ones that Scott knew how to make. There is no official cause of death because her body was in such bad shape. And they also never found anchors or anything. Oh my God, what if she wasn't even, what if they just dropped it there? Sorry. I was just thinking. Police felt they had enough evidence to make an arrest.
Yeah. Yeah, you mean the guy that was at that bay that day in his boat that nobody knew about and then has went back to that bay 5 times? I think that alone is pretty substantial.
But at this point, Scott was nowhere to be found.
Shocking.
He had disappeared. Luckily for police, though, they were able to track Scott's whereabouts through his cell phone and realize that he was down in San Diego. Now, they were trying to move fast because they were thinking that Scott was going to make a run for the border and head to Mexico. So they were trying to get out there quick. And they were able to locate Scott at a golf club, and his appearance was completely different.
Wow.
He dyed his hair.
Wow, look at that. He tried to just be like, yeah, who's Scott Peterson? Not me.
He dyed all of his hair blonde, including his eyebrows, and now he had a goatee that he also dyed blonde. It was more like orange because he didn't tone. Scott
Because he didn't tone. Bleach and tone, Scott.
at the time was also driving his parents' car. He said the reason that he was not driving his car was because he believed that there was a GPS on it, which there was. So he wasn't wrong. Inside the car, police found all kinds of camping gear.
But if you're not doing sketchy things, why would you care if the police were after you if you were innocent, right?
$15,000 in cash, 3 credit cards, and his brother's passport, and Viagra. Just gonna pour.
And Viagra.
It was also weird because
Was he about to flee the country, I'm guessing?
Scott brought a variety of dress clothes.
Yeah, he was about to try to dip out and just go to Mexico.
Nice button-up shirts, ties, dress shoes, and dress pants. He was able to go from camping to dress attire. It was just a very odd mix. Or he was a good planner. I don't know. Scott said that he was living out of his car to avoid media attention and also dyed his hair because the media was following his every move and he couldn't do anything without people recognizing him. And he just wanted away from all of it. So he gets arrested, taken in, waiting for his trial, June 1st, 2004. The trial starts and it's a long one. So Scott's team was focusing on police and how they handled the whole case, saying that there was really no proof that
This is the same thing with OJ. It's super guilty, but they handled the case wrong and the cops did things wrong and they were corrupt and they did things that they shouldn't have.
Scott was the one who did this. No fingerprints, no DNA. The whole case against Scott was that he was having an affair and they found a strand of hair in his pliers. That was the evidence. They also tried to push a narrative that Laci was most likely killed by a satanic cult
What?
because she was missing all of her limbs.
Oh my gosh.
Also, they focus on the fact that the divers searched the bay 15 times and found nothing, making them believe that she was placed there later on. With Scott being tracked or followed everywhere, there was no chance for him to place the body in the bay without anyone seeing him. They were standing by the fact that there wasn't any physical evidence saying that Scott did this for sure, without a doubt.
Look, I know it's their job and I get it, but good Lord.
Forensic expert testified about the pliers with the hair strand in it. So prosecutors say that the hair most likely belonged to Laci, but DNA couldn't fully prove that the hair belonged to Laci because, again, there was no root at the strand. A criminalist for the State Department of Justice testified that the tests she conducted on the pliers showed that the pliers had been used recently to cut anything. The forensic expert also testified that she saw no signs of blood or human tissue on the pliers. Scott's defense lawyers theorized that someone kidnapped Laci, held her hostage until she gave birth, and then dumped both bodies in the bay.
They kidnapped Laci with no motive, didn't want anything, never got found or caught, left no evidence behind, and they dumped Laci's body in the same bay that Scott went fishing at and returned to 5 times? That's the story we're going with?
The reason that they think this is because Scott was not home when Laci was spotted walking the dog. There were 11 different witnesses in the neighborhood who saw Laci walking the dog that morning. Police only questioned 3 of those witnesses. And if that's true, then the blame shouldn't be put on Scott necessarily, because Scott was at his office and they have record of that because of his computer. Amber Frey ends up testifying.
Nah, I really don't. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not trying to throw away evidence. I don't. The man did it. Like, let's be real. Like, let's be real. Come on now. Same thing. The dude was having an affair. Was telling people that his wife had passed. Like, come on now. Maybe somebody else was tied to it, right? Maybe he was an accomplice. I don't know, but come on. It just wouldn't make any sense for someone to kidnap a pregnant woman in broad daylight on Christmas Eve. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it.
In court, and she tells them everything. Jurors listened to the recordings of Scott and Amber's phone conversations, which just proved that she was telling the truth and that Scott was a liar. The prosecution presented Scott's affair, financial problems, and fatherhood as motives for murdering. He killed Laci due to his increasing debt and a desire to be single again. On November 12th, 2004, the jury convicted Scott of 2 counts of murder, first-degree murder for killing Laci, and second-degree murder for killing their baby. So the judge followed the jury's verdict, sentencing Scott to death by lethal injection.
Whoa.
Calling the murder of Laci cruel, uncaring, heartless, and callous. So Scott's attorney filed a 423-page appeal of Scott's sentence, which he stated that the publicity surrounding the trial and other mistakes deprived Scott of a fair trial. On August 24th, 2020, the Supreme Court of California
2020
upheld Scott's conviction, but overturned his death sentence because Scott's trial judge had dismissed jurors who opposed capital punishment without asking them whether they could put their views aside. Supreme Court rulings say that jurors may not be excused merely for opposition to the death penalty. Scott will probably sit his pretty little ass in prison for the rest of his life, but I think he's going to get a new trial. Yeah, they're going to try and get him a new trial. Now, here's where I'm confused. Just hear me out before you...
I don't think he's out, or else I would have heard about it.
Make judgments, because, listen, all signs point to Scott, right? I mean, it makes sense. He's having an affair. He doesn't maybe want a wife. He doesn't want a kid. Maybe he's freaking out. He's having like a pre-midlife crisis. And he's like, oh dear, what am I doing? And he freaks out, and he probably did some shit. But if you remember, this story was everywhere, and the media, newspapers, everywhere had determined that Scott Peterson was guilty before court even started. There was no way of avoiding this story. So how could he get a fair trial when everybody knew who he was, at least in the state and the county? Like, there was just no way. There was no way he could get a fair trial. There's not a lot of evidence pointing to Scott, just a strand of hair. There were 11 eyewitnesses who saw Laci walking the...
But, like, there's not a lot of evidence, but I feel like you don't always need absolute hardcore, insane, oh my God, he admitted it evidence. Even just the thing of, like, him lying and telling everybody he was playing golf, but then instead he was at that bay 90 miles away. To me, that's already enough to be like, what? Why are you lying? If you're innocent there, you're not lying. You would say I was out fishing. I'm sorry. I know I like Bailey because she doesn't want to really pick sides too much. But like, I'm sorry, but this man Scott is guilty beyond. And if you guys think I'm wrong there, and there's some new updates, please let me know. That's fine. I can handle it. But I I think it's pretty dang obvious. And once again, I probably have to do some more research on this. As always, leave as many comments as you would like to about, anything that Bailey might have got wrong or things that I might be wrong on or any updates, anything with Amber. I'm curious on it all. I'm becoming a wealth of knowledge because of this channel.
Dog that morning when Scott was at his warehouse. Investigators only questioned 3 of those witnesses, but didn't further try and maybe put a story together where her timeline. You didn't really hear much of her timeline.
They just might have been off by an hour or two, and that could have made the difference.
Laci, because they didn't really try and put any effort into figuring out.
So she's basically saying Scott could be innocent because he didn't have a fair trial because they were like, he did it. But and maybe there's some truth to that. And I know everyone has the right to a fair trial, but I'm sorry.
What her day looked like. And did those people really see her? A lot of people believe that maybe she was killed by somebody else and placed in the water. They searched those waters 15 different times.
I just don't
hate how
believe
by
it.
the end of the video, I'm this low. And also, what the hell happened to Laci Peterson? They don't know. They really don't know. There's theories about what her day looked like, but what the heck? It's one big mystery. I don't know, you guys. This one has me all sorts of confused. Anyways, I would love to hear.
Wow. Well, interesting that there's really no technical end, but as I said, let me know what you think, your conspiracy theories, if there was any new updates that I should be watching or videos or anything. I'm going to guess he's stuck to his story and is going to claim his innocence so he can possibly be released one day, which I hope he's not because I think he did it. The fact that he had an affair with 3 different women, and he doesn't seem to be a very believable, honest human being. Let's just say that, okay? But there you go. Scott Peterson and Laci Peterson. Rest in peace to Laci and Connor. Another one of those just ridiculous things. Just get a divorce. Good Lord, man. Just get a divorce, Scott. Jesus. All right, if you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate you more than the people that didn't make it to the end of the video. Is that mean to say? Maybe. But I appreciate you. Like the video if you still are here. Comment down below. Hype the video if you can. Sometimes you can't. I don't understand. It's not that something I can turn on and off. But if it's there, hype it. And then, of course, subscribe to the channel. Click subscribe. Legit, just click it. If you're not subscribed, click it. If you are subscribed, don't click it because then you unsubscribe. And that would make me sad. But I just want you to take a second. Just look. Just look. I just want you to look at it. Just look at it. See if you're subscribed. If you're not, click it. And then if you're feeling extra nice, hit the little thing, the little drop down, hit the bell. Click it and make it say show all so you can watch my videos when they come out and not miss any. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Huh? We both win there. You get content and I get your viewership, and that would be great. I'm just telling you though, even if you're lurking and you're doing the dishes, you're not looking at your phone and computer, just I want you to see if you're subscribed. Just check. For me, please. Nice hour-long video, just you and I chatting. We're friends, right? Okay. That's it for me here on Triple R Ryan's Real Reactions. Please don't bother me while I'm watching true crime. Peace out.